Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Viridian Laser Company sent us a C5L laser and a tack lock holster configured for the XDM. So of course I've got an XDM here on the table. The C5L is a combination laser and light. They also have, this is a green laser version, they have a red laser, and they also have a light only version. The key to this one is it's smaller, so it's designed to be able to be used on subcompacts and compacts as long as they have a rail, or a full size like the one that's sitting here on the table. So it's a very flexible laser, and the holster that comes with it, this particular holster is designed to be an outside the waistband holster, but it's still usable for concealed carry. But it has what they call ECR. Basically it's auto activation. So not only is it a retention holster, but when you pull the gun out of the holster, it will activate the light or laser, whatever you had it last configured for. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this. We'll do it in a couple steps. I'll show you putting it on there, taking it out of the box and putting it on. Of course, we'll take it out to our sophisticated flashlight testing facility, sometimes known as the pool area. We'll test it at night, and we're going to take it to the range because it has a laser on it. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this out of the packaging. And it does come with some discount coupons, some startup documentation, and kind of a quick start guide. And there's more details available on their website. So it comes with the documentation you need. It comes with the laser, and it comes on this little plastic block. It kind of looks like the business end of a gun. And you might be tempted to take this thing and get the laser off it and drop it in the recycle bin, but don't do that, because it's not just packaging material. It's also a little toolbox. If I push it the right way, all the tools and extra parts and everything else that are used to support the laser can be stored in it. Now these all came in a little plastic baggie inside the box when I initially opened it, but I wanted to see if they all actually did fit in there. So once you do take the laser off of this thing for the purpose of putting it on your gun, don't toss this. Go ahead and keep track of it. Even if this ends up in a drawer and you don't put it in your range bag, at least all the parts are in one place. So I'm going to use a coin. You could use a screwdriver. You could use the head of a key to loosen this screw. And that allows me to take it off the Picatinny rail. So you see it's just got a little Picatinny rail. And again, I'm going to set this aside. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm going to take my XDM. Now I happen to have chosen the 5.25 competition XDM. Actually, I'm sorry. This one I was going to use the competition. This one's the 10mm. I chose that one instead because I would use this light and laser potentially on this 10mm at night hog hunting. Of course, if you're going to use a lighter laser on a hunting gun, you got to make sure that you're within the regulations of lights and lasers for wherever you're at. But in Florida at night on private property, you can use a light and laser when hunting hogs. So I'm going to put it on this gun. But you could put it on your carry gun, you could put it on a smaller XDM. It just slides on to the rail, and you want to bring it back where it kind of flush with the trigger guard so that you can easily reach forward with your finger and activate it. So I'll show you too. I'll flip it over so that you can see it. So my finger naturally, when I'm forward of the trigger guard, fits right on the button, and I can activate or deactivate the laser. Of course, at the moment I don't have the battery in it. I'm going to go ahead and put the battery in a second. But you can see how easy it is to install. It comes with several different little clips. They're kind of an L-shaped bracket, and they've got holes in them. There's one with 2 holes. This was what came actually on the laser. There's the one with a single hole on a shorter compact, and then there's one with 3 and more holes. It depends on what you need in order to be able to line it up with your Picatinny rail. So I'm going to take it off the gun for just a second. The battery compartment is here at the front, and again, head of a key, coin, or screwdriver. The important part is the things that you may need to deal with in the field can be dealt with by things that you might have in the field. You're going to have keys, you're going to have coins, that type of stuff. So I'm going to drop the battery in, and it does come with a battery, and I'm going to put this back on. Now, you want to make sure you don't cross-thread it. If you cross-thread it, it's easy to damage it. If it doesn't start to turn very easily, and one thing I'll show you, see the O-ring there? That O-ring is going to retain it and keep it in place. Now they don't make any, you just tighten it down till it's kind of secure. They don't make any specific waterproofing claims, so when we test this, we're not going to fish it out of the water like we sometimes do. But I'm going to go ahead and slide it back on. You just bring it up forward, and if it's a little too tight, then you may have to loosen the mounting screws a little bit. I'm going to flip it over so I can put the screw in. Whichever one of these it fits through. So it fits through that one. That'll work. It isn't important which one you put it through. It's more important that you have one that lines up with where you want to have it on your Picatinny rail. And I'm going to tighten these down. And then you would also make sure that these two screws are snug, and that can be easily done with the little tool that comes with it. I shake it out of the container. It comes with a little wrench that you can use that'll also use for adjusting. So you can use it for the screws and you can use it for adjusting. So it's kind of useful. It comes with everything you need. Now I'm just going to display the modes real quick. So if I hit the button, turn it on, hit the button, turn it off, and I can do that with either button. This moment it's set for laser. Now if I turn it on and I hit both buttons, I can change the mode. So at the moment it's laser only. It's laser and light. I'm going to tilt a little bit. You'll see the lasers on, and they're both continuous. Flashing light with the laser continuous. Flashing laser with the light off. Flashing laser with the light on. And then light only. There isn't a flashing light, flashing laser. They would just kind of interfere with each other. And I'm going to put it back to laser mode. And it has a deep programming mode, they call it. And with that, you can change the intensity of the light. Of course, you'd lower the intensity of the light. It'll last a little longer. And you can change the flashing frequency of the laser or the light. And it does remember the setting you were on. So it's very flexible and customizable. It may be easier as I show you the holster if I have this set up with the light on, because it'd be easier to see that it's actually done its thing. So I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to get the holster out, set aside some of these tools, set aside the packaging, and pull this holster out. Now, it's a tack lock holster, and this particular one is for the XDMs. It lists it for 940 and 45. That's a 10 millimeter on the table, and it fits. One thing I will mention about this holster, and it's not a negative, it's just something that you want to know, that the retention and the design of this holster requires that you have the C5L on it. And they make this in different left and right hand, and they make it for different manufacturers, Glock, Smith & Wesson, Ruger, and a number of different manufacturers. But it won't work if you don't have the laser on the gun. It won't latch. The holster is just not usable. So don't buy this holster just to have it in case you ever decide to get a light. If you get the light, get the holster that matches it, and it has their ECR, which is their auto activation feature. So I'm going to go ahead and this is a paddle style. There's also, you can get the additional functionality of a belt loop style, but it is an outside the waistband holster, and you see that it is adjustable. You can adjust cant and angle by adjusting the screws. I'm going to put the gun in it. If I get the correct orientation. The gun's in it, and it's being retained. Now it does have a retention release, and there's a couple different, I've had discussions on this before, this type of design. There are some manufacturers of this style holster where the release lines up with the trigger that are inherently unsafe, because if you get stressed and you're pushing hard on the release and it comes free of the holster, your finger goes in the trigger guard. These don't have that problem. If I push down on it, no matter how I push it down as I pull it off, my finger is going to land on the laser, and that is going to prevent me from pulling the trigger. Some other designs have the release offset, so it's up here, so your finger lands on the frame or on the slide. And you notice the laser didn't come on. The laser light didn't come on because it wasn't on when I put it in the holster. But if I put it on when I put it in the holster, and then put it in the holster, it goes off. When I pull it out of the holster, it goes on. So it remembers what you last had it set to and automatically returns it to that mode. So if you're wanting to not have the light and laser come on until you explicitly decide you want it on, you don't want to give away your position as you're drawing, just turn it off before you put it in the holster. If you want it in a particular mode when you pull it from the holster, then go ahead and set it to that mode, and you can see the laser there, the light and laser. Set it to that mode, and it will be in that mode when you pull it out. So it's actually a well-designed holster. Give you a little bit of MSRPs. The holster itself is about 50 bucks. And the laser that we've got on it, this one, the green laser, is about $350. The one with just a red laser and a light is about $200, and then about $150 for a light only, depending on what you want to spend. So it's a really pretty flexible setup, and it'll probably stay on this gun and roll out next time we go hog hunting. Now what we're going to do next, as I mentioned earlier in the video, we're going to take it to the range because there's a laser, show how well the laser works and make sure it stays working under recoil. And we're going to test the light intensity in the dark. And one thing I am going to call out about the light itself, most light patterns are kind of round, and of course I'm going to do a kind of a crappy circle, but they're kind of round. So they light up a round area in front of you. This one is kind of oblong, so it's kind of, think of it as 16 by 9. So it lights up to the sides of you. That's actually a good thing, because what you're going to get is you don't lose your peripheral vision. A threat that comes in from one side or the other you can see. That's going to be of particular interest for me out in the woods, but it also applies to self-defense, that I want to see what's coming from the bushes to the side, not just what happens to be in front of me. So that's a unique design, and you'll see that when we take it out in the pool area in the dark. So we're out in the dark, and it's a full moon, so it's not as dark as normal, but this is with no lighting other than what's in the area. And then when I turn the C5L on, you'll see it's lighting up a bunch of bushes. Now we normally have a screen cage here that would also capture the light, but that's gone at the moment. But you can see how bright it is, and how much coverage you get. You get a good view of those bushes, and then without it, pitch dark again. Well, we've had it to the range, and we've had it outside, and it worked flawlessly in both situations. At the range, the light is not powerful enough to overcome the lights in the range, so you really couldn't see whether the light itself was on or not. But the laser worked quite well, and it was really easy to see the laser on the target, and at a few points where I'd fired, you could kind of see that green beam with the smoke in the air. And at night, it did quite well. Now, one thing you might notice is, looking at the video, it may look to be not as bright as you'd expect. Well, and that's the camera. When you get into lower lighting conditions, even the best daytime designed camera is not going to be able to compete with the old Mark I eyeball. I could see perfectly well. I could see very easily and very well. Now, some of the super high power flashlights we've had out there are much larger. You know, they might actually be that long instead of small, compact, and light. But for what it's intended to be, which is a very small light, or light as in not heavy, light laser combo, it actually performs quite well. And for a pistol-based laser, it would do everything you want it to do. Being small and light enough to put on all but the smallest of subcompacts, you'd be good to go with it. Beyond that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, click that bell up there to be notified if you do. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, Instagram. We're kind of all over the place. Thank you.
Good job. A couple other. I think it's fun.